The night they posted lies about me online. I didn't shout. I gathered my receipts. My daughter and her husband thought they could humiliate me in public, but I turned every insult into evidence. By morning, their names were on the legal filings, not mine. This story is just getting started. The river air carried a chill as I stepped out of my car, the valet reaching for my keys with a polite, "Evening, ma'am." The lights from the Magnolia House shimmered across the Ashley River. Elegant and cold, I clutched my small leather purse. Inside it, a few cards, a folded receipt, and the habit of caution. "I travel light these days," I murmured, "but I keep receipts." The hostess scanned her tablet, her brow twitching. "Mrs. D. Vernell?" she asked. Close, but not quite. That near miss told me enough. Respect mispronounced always feels like a warning. I caught the seating map on her clipboard. The Morven party sat near the service corridor. Not exactly the view of the river I remembered from years ago. When my husband and I celebrated anniversaries here, I smiled. "Yes, that's me," I said, watching her tone shift to something practiced. Inside. The jazz hummed low, a trumpet sliding through the chatter. Callista waved from across the room, her smile bright as a camera flash. My daughter, all gloss and angles, sat beside her husband, Reese, who already looked like he was closing a deal. He gave me a nod, the kind men give to service staff they half remember. I walked toward them, slow, deliberate. My heels clicked in rhythm with the music, every step measured, every glance cataloged. "Mom, you made it," Callista sang out. "We've got some big news tonight." Her tone was champagne on ice, bubbly, but something sharp underneath. I kissed her cheek. It smelled of designer foundation and nerves. "I wouldn't miss it," I said. The table buzzed with unfamiliar faces, investors, influencers, people who said content strategy like it meant salvation. I noticed one woman slide her clutch onto the chair beside her, as if to mark it off limits. A whisper behind me. "Is she staff?" Then, softer. "She's sweet, but you can tell." A server approached. "Still or sparkling?" he asked. Glancing toward Callista, she answered for me. "Water is fine for Mom." I looked at the badge on his vest, Lydia, and smiled. "Sparkling, please." My voice stayed calm. I make my own choices. His eyes flicked with understanding before he walked away. Reese raised his glass toward another table, where a banker smiled back. He didn't toast to me. I watched his wrist, his watch gleaming like a silent scoreboard. Then Callista leaned in, lowering her voice just enough to make it private, but not enough to hide it. "Mom," she said sweetly, "this place can be a lot, you know. McDonald's fits you better." The words hit like a slap wrapped in silk. Laughter rippled down the table. Someone muttered, "She's sweet," and another chuckled. I let the sound roll past me, like wind over stone. "I've paid for plenty of meals you never saw," I told her softly. "I'll manage this one." She blinked, her smile faltering for half a second before Reese whispered something in her ear. "Optics," he said. "Always optics." The seat they'd left me was near the restroom, close enough to feel the draft when the door swung open. I sat anyway, letting them think I'd accepted it. People mistake silence for surrender. In truth, silence is preparation. Across the room, the hostess, Vera, her tag said, caught my eye. She frowned slightly, then turned toward the wall of old black and white photos, as if checking something. A minute later, she disappeared into the back. I wondered if she'd recognized me from those photos 25 years ago, when I helped fund the renovation of this very place with my late husband. I smoothed my dress, feeling the rhythm of my pulse even out. A mother's silence, I thought, is a clock winding. When the maitre d' glanced our way, Callista straightened, dazzling the room with her PR smile. Cameras angled, an influencer whispered. "Get this shot," Reese hissed. "Keep it neat." I stood, slowly, my purse in hand, my scarf just so. I wasn't shaking. I looked past Callista, toward the host stand, where that brass bell gleamed like a promise. "Call the manager," I said evenly, loud enough for the room to hear. I said, "Call the manager." My voice stayed level, but the sound carried farther than I intended. Heads turned. The oyster shucker paused mid-slice. The banker's wife lowered her fork. Even the jazz dimmed for a beat, as if the trumpet itself had taken a breath. Callista's smile locked in place, brittle as glass. Reese shifted his jaw, searching for a polite mask. "Mom," she said through her teeth, "please don't do this." I rested my purse in the crook of my arm, calm. "Oh, I'm not doing anything yet." Years of night shifts had taught me the value of a quiet stance. Hands free, mind sharp, heart steady. The whispers rolled across the room like small surf. Did she say manager? Is that her mother? I didn't look their way. Let them collect their gossip. I was collecting witnesses. Then Callista decided to finish the job herself. She lifted her chin and raised her voice just enough to reach the tables around us. "Mom, this place isn't for you. McDonald's fits you better." The laughter came, scattered but sharp. Someone muttered. "That's cold," another whispered. She said that to her own mom? I breathed in. Jasmine soap, butter, and humiliation, and exhaled through my nose, slow as prayer. "I've eaten in better rooms," I said evenly, "and worse kitchens. I'll be fine." Reese gave a tight grin to the investor beside him. "Let's not make a scene," he murmured, as if I'd written the script. "We have guests tonight?" "You already made one, me," I said quietly, but only to him. A busing cart rattled inches from my chair. The wheels squeaked with every turn. My assigned seat sat between the restroom and a stack of folded napkins. Callista gestured without meeting my eyes. "Mom, there's an open spot. Over there." Over there meant the service corridor, not the river view. I saw the choreography unfold. One chair for a donor, one for an influencer, none for the woman who raised the host. I sat anyway. Linen crisp and cold beneath my hands, the scent of bleach and lemon filled the air. Every "excuse me" behind and corner from the staff reminded me exactly where they'd placed me. Out of sight, but not out of mind. "Sparkling, please, no lemon," I told Lydia when she approached again. She gave me a small, relieved smile. "Of course, ma'am." At the host stand, I corrected my name gently. "It's Varnell with Anna. Thank you." I shifted my chair 2 inches out of the traffic path, small territory reclaimed. But mine, at my age, I said softly, "I pick my battles, and my chair." Then the flash came. A phone angled up from 2 seats away. The influencer whispered, "Family drama at Magnolia." And the little red dot blinked to life. Reese hissed, "Put that down," but didn't stop her. Optics again. Always optics. Comments popped on her screen. "Is that her mom? Why seat her there?" I didn't flinch. I raised my glass and took a slow sip. Bubbles danced against my tongue. Calm tasted like carbonated steel. A busser hesitated nearby, unsure whether to clear or comfort. "You're okay, son," I told him. "Do your job." His shoulders eased. Across the table, Lydia straightened. "Anything you need, ma'am?" she asked, loud enough for others to hear. It was small rebellion, respect spoken aloud. A banker's wife whispered. "My mama would have walked," her husband replied. "Or owned the place." I smiled at that. "Sugar," I said to Lydia. "I've worked rooms tougher than this. Let the kitchen breathe." Callista's patience snapped. "Mom, please don't make this harder. We're at capacity." I met her eyes. "You mean, don't be seen." Reese's hand touched my chair. Light, but claiming. "Let us seat you properly." "I can seat myself." I moved it just far enough to draw breath between us. A guest nearby muttered, "Good for her," another whispered. "This is getting tense." "Discomfort's how you learn," I said quietly, not to them, but to the air itself. The jazz slipped into silence. For one heartbeat, only the sound of glasses and breath filled the room. The brass bell at the host stand glimmered under the light, small, old, and waiting. I stood. My knees didn't shake. The corridor seat lay behind me. Empty now. A symbol of what I'd left behind. "Ring it," I told the hostess, my tone polite but firm. "Please call the manager." The bell chimed once. Clear. Metallic. Final. Conversation stopped. A doorway brightened at the back of the restaurant, and a man in polished shoes stepped through. The bell's single chime sliced through the air like truth finding its mark. Every fork froze midair, every whisper caught in the throat. Vera Cantrell, the young hostess, straightened at once. From the back hallway, a man in a navy suit stepped into the light. Axton Meyer, polished shoes, calm presence, the kind of authority that doesn't need to announce itself. He looked around, eyes landing on me, then on Callista and Reese. "Evening, Miss Varnillo," he said, his voice steady. "Who seated you by a service door?" I didn't answer. I just tilted my chin slightly, letting the silence point where words didn't need to go. Axton's gaze hardened. He took 2 steps forward and placed one steady arm around my shoulders. It wasn't show. It was protection and recognition. "Hostess," he said. "Secure the owner's table." Conversations rippled like wind through leaves. "Owner's table?" someone whispered. He spoke for all to hear. Magnolia House operates under River and Pine Hospitality, whose controlling member is Miss Drusilla Varnell. The room shifted. The air, the posture, even the music. A fork clattered against china. Someone gasped softly. Reese's voice broke the silence. "We were just handling optics." Axton's tone cut cleaner than the bell. "Family optics don't outrank respect," I added, evenly. "I'll sit where the light's best. I read contracts better in good light." That earned a quiet laugh from somewhere near the bar. Vera led us toward the far wall, her hands trembling just a little. There, in a black and white photograph, my late husband, Harold, stood beside the founding chef. A brass plaque gleamed beneath it. Founding benefactors, Harold and Drusilla Varnell. A woman at a nearby table whispered, "She's been here the whole time." I reached out and brushed Harold's name with one knuckle. "He built the door," I said softly, "so I could walk through." Callista turned her face away. Reese stared at the plaque like it was written in another language. Vera moved quickly to the dining room's center. Fresh linen, new candles, the corridor seat left empty behind me like a discarded mistake. Lydia returned with sparkling water, no lemon this time. Details remembered. Axton remained standing, commanding the room without raising his voice. "Folks," he said, "in this house, we seat by dignity, not by pedigree." The murmurs softened into something like respect. I sat, back straight, hands folded loosely on the table. I could feel the tide turning, but I stayed quiet. Power doesn't shout, it settles in. Then I set a slim envelope beside my menu. "Just a small policy review," I said mildly. "And a few lease addenda. Seating principles by service corridors voids performance bonuses." Reese paled. Callista's smile cracked, the glaze gone. Axton nodded. "We'll review this Monday. For now. No phones at family tables." The influencer lowered her camera. Vera offered a polite smile and said, "Desserts on the house tonight. Carrot cake travels better than shame." I smiled faintly. "Be kind in public," I said to no one and everyone. "And correct in private. Tonight got flipped." Lydia passed by again, whispering. "My mama would be proud," I answered. "Tell her I said thank you." A man nearby tapped his glass once, not for attention, but for acknowledgement. I turned to Callista and Reese. "You're welcome to join," I said evenly. "The center table always has room, for those who act right." Callista nodded, small, brittle. Reese stared down at the linen, searching for courage or a loophole. "Family," I said quietly, "is invitation, not entitlement." Vera stepped forward again, handing Axton a folded note. His expression tightened. "There are reporters outside," he murmured. I picked up my purse, sliding the envelope back inside. "Then we control the doors," I told him. "Bring the contracts." "Toy." Through the window, the first camera flash burst like lightning against the glass. I didn't blink. After all, the house was mine. Nolan Creed's text flashed across my phone. 2 freelancers and a local blogger outside. One stream already past 3,000 views. I stood from the owner's table, motioned to Axton Meyer, and we walked to the foyer, shoulder to shoulder. No rush, no apology. Vera Cantrell met us halfway, clipboard in hand. Daily incident log, Miss Varnell. I scanned the line marked corridor seating error and signed with a single initial. Paperwork makes the story factual. Not dramatic, I told Nolan. Doors stay open, but respect is admission. He nodded. Copy? We screen questions. The jazz from the dining room softened, leaving space for order, not noise. I smoothed my cuff. Habit of discipline, signal of calm control. A ring light shimmered by the door. I lifted a palm. No filming guests, I said evenly. Aim that lens at the brass plate or the menu. Faces stay private. The blogger smirked. Your daughter said you don't fit the place. I smiled like Sunday service. I build spaces for nurses, teachers, and grandmamas. That includes my daughter, if she remembers her manners. Axton's tone stayed firm. Harassment voids access. Submit questions in writing. He pointed to the policy frame beside the host stand. Nolan moved one step forward. Posture saying enough. The light dimmed. The reporter cleared his throat. I'm suddenly polite. I invited one question. You get ing? I said, not outrage. Choose. Silence answered for them. Then Callista's perfume drifted in before her voice. Mom, we're leaving. This circus is embarrassing. Reese stood behind her, pretending to shield her from attention he helped create. I turned to Vera. Please run tonight's comp charges. Kitchen overtime. Reseating, dessert for the blogger we just redirected. Vera nodded and swiped the corporate card. The printer hummed. Steady as breath. The receipt showed river and pine. Controller, D. Varnell. I laid it flat on the foyer table, square in the light. I pay for the fix, I said quietly. And for the lesson, Reese blinked. So all this is yours? Axton replied before I had to. She's the controlling member. We don't toss that word lightly here. Callista's voice softened. Can we just start over? Mom? With rules, I said. Every home, even public ones, needs rules. We returned to the owner's table. I stayed standing, hand resting on the chair's back, the room hushed by choice. This restaurant, I said, feeds nurses after long shifts and elders on Sundays. We serve dignity with the meal. That's our brand. I pointed toward the empty corridor seat. That chair stays open tonight. If you try to sit me there, you'll end up sitting with your consequences. Lydia brought hush puppies. Warm, golden. Peace offering disguised as comfort food. I accepted one, nodding thanks. The blogger asked, what about the family rift? Family, I said, is a privilege. Privileges can be restored. After accountability, I led Callista 3 steps from the crowd. You don't talk to me like I'm your purse, I said evenly. Respect staff. Sit where you're told. Don't weaponize my money, she murmured. But Mom, I lifted an eyebrow. You may call me Mom when you stop calling me less than... Reese opened his mouth. I raised a finger. Not today. Back at the table. I squeezed Vera's hand once, a signal of reset. Not victory. The system now worked again. Nolan leaned close. Voice low. Private reel hit 40,000 views. Caption, Owner's Mom? Axton's jaw hardened. The meeting Monday just turned into discovery. I reached into my purse, slid a thicker envelope across to him. Then bring the leases, I said. Tonight, we control the doors. The restaurant slept while the paperwork stayed awake. I locked the Magnolia House office door. The only sound was the hum of the old fridge under the counter. Nolan Creed leaned over his laptop. Glow on his face like a watchfire. Private reels gone viral, he said. Hashtags calling you gatekeeping, Mom. I didn't flinch. Turn the noise into evidence. Vera Cantrell began sorting receipts and pulling surveillance stills showing the signage and policy board. Each timestamp was marked, uploaded, backed up. We created a 1-page sequence: error, correction, policy restatement, respectful boundary. I called Camille Hart, our landlord counsel. She answered fast. You're on speaker. Keep it factual. I gave bullet points, no adjectives. Nolan typed, evidence replaces outrage. That's how women like me stay standing. Minutes later, Nolan flagged his inbox. Distributor wants to postpone the tasting. Charity dinner miter visit optics. He read it twice. Both letters used identical phrasing. Someone coordinated this. Scripted, I said. He nodded grimly. The reel's caption now read, "Owner's mom bullies staff." A friend of Callista's left a smirking emoji. Reese clicked like, I opened a clean page and typed 2 sentences. No faces filmed, house policy enforced evenly. We welcome every guest who respects the room. Axton approved it, then posted from the business account. Comments split. But bookings stayed. I called the charity chair myself. You feed nurses every Thursday. I said, stand with truth, not gossip. She exhaled. Send me your policy sheet. By dawn, narrative control was back where it belonged. Then Camille's email chimed again. You need to see this. A clause highlighted in yellow filled my screen. Morals addendum. Termination upon public controversy. I frowned. That wasn't in our signed packet, Camille replied. Page numbering's off. They attached it later. My pulse stayed even. Vera, pull our original PDF. Metadata confirmed the mismatch. They can't fake time, I said. Camille's voice sharpened. We'll file for declaratory relief. Sanctions too. Your daughter's posts actually strengthen the retaliation argument. I smiled without warmth. Then let them tweet. I'll draft preservation letters to the landlord, their agent, and every vendor echoing that script. Paper. My oldest ally would outlast gossip. At 11:30, I called an all-staff huddle. No one argues online. If harassed, log it. Paige Nolan. Serve well. Protect your peace. Lydia suggested hosting a free night for hospital workers. Thursday, I said. Coffee and hush puppies on the house. Axton and I signed new rule sheets and posted them by the foyer door. Vera added QR codes linking to our accessibility page. Proof that transparency isn't weakness. Before midnight. I recorded a short video for the team. You are not furniture, I told them. You are the welcome. It wasn't a slogan, it was a shield. Then came the text I expected. An associate pastor. Reese says you humiliated Callista. Could we mediate? I recognize the move. Wrap misconduct in church cloth and call it grace. I replied gently, Pastor, I honor peace. But forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting boundaries. Moments later, Callista posted a photo of the empty corridor chair with the caption, Wish you were humble. I sent the screenshot to Camille. She replied, That helps. Establishes coordinated pressure, I whispered into the quiet. Love is not silence. Love closes doors when it must. Camille called once more before dawn. Discovery's been moved up. 9A. Bring leases and card statements. I slid the thick envelope into my tote. Its weight felt judicial, almost holy. Outside, Charleston's air cooled the heat under my ribs. The night smelled like iron and seaweed and resolve. I texted Axton one line. At dawn. We turn on the lights in their paperwork. Then I finally turned mine off. The morning came sharp and bright. Camille Hart met me at the curb outside Hart and Shore LLP. Her briefcase balanced against one hip. We go in factual, not emotional, she said. I nodded, tote in hand, leases, statements, receipts, red notebook on top like a badge. Inside the conference room, the blinds were half drawn, harbor light slicing the table in clean lines. Opposite us sat Mark Talbot from the landlord's office. Gray suit, gray smile. On screen, Dina Rook from the distributor waited, her image flickering. Their attorney began with the word I'd grown to expect. Brand. Camille outlined limits. Lease authenticity. Timeline of public content, alleged moral breach, nothing beyond scope. I slid notarized copies forward. Our lease. Original page certifications, index cross-signed by Vera. Nolan's logs detailed the viral reel's first upload, traced to Callista's circle. I spoke only once. We deal in facts, not folklore. Even the stenographer nodded like she'd heard enough of gossip this week. Then Camille laid down Exhibit A, sealed, dated, stamped with gold, owner's endorsement letter, signed the week before, confirming I held standing access to the owner's table. It documented ADA pathways, guest relocation policy, and safety protocol. The phrasing was dry, but truth often is. Miss Varnell demonstrated calm enforcement of existing policy. It read, Opposing counsel scoffed. Irrelevant to lease terms? Camille smiled. Directly relevant to public controversy claim, I added gently. I didn't throw weight, just upheld rules. The room softened. Even Talbot's pen paused mid-tap. Exhibit B followed, the digital autopsy. Vera's version history proved pages 1 through 9 unaltered since filing. Exhibit C, the landlord's copy, told a different story. Page 7 carried a foreign footer font, later timestamp and author metadata, Mantelbot_edit. Camille's voice stayed velvet smooth. Alteration after execution equals fabrication. Talbot shifted. Clerical update, he mumbled. Then why a 3-month delay? Camille countered. I pointed at the rent receipts. Payments aligned with the old rate. Behavior follows truth, I said. Silence fell long enough for the stenographer's fingers to echo like rain. Nolan texted mid-meeting. Camille requested a recess. Pressed play on her phone. The voice memo crackled. Push the forgiveness narrative. Have her daughter share it. That'll soften sponsors. The accent was local. Male. Oily. My daughter's name floated through the static. I felt anger flicker but didn't feed it. Peacemaking isn't a mop, I said quietly. Camille logged the file as Exhibit D under seal, announcing possible interference and defamation claims. Talbot's counsel folded his notes. Game changed. By noon, we returned to Magnolia House. Lydia was polishing glasses for the lunch rush, I told her. Post our standards by the door. Safety, respect. No filming. She grinned. Already printed. Axton replaced the foyer frame, his signature beside mine. Vera streamed the staff briefing, and I recorded a short message. We're not performing, we're consistent. The kitchen clapped. By 2, the distributor had emailed to restore its order. No apology, but numbers don't lie. I sat in my usual booth as sunlight traced the tabletops. My phone buzzed. A single text from Reese. Nothing but ellipses that faded before I could respond. Camille called soon after. Talbot blinked. They want a clarification statement, I said. We'll accept one, with penalties and apology. Outside, Charleston shimmered like polished brass. I watched customers line up under the magnolia trees, unaware of the paper battles fought for their peace. Some wars don't roar. They file, they sign, they stand. I placed my red notebook into the safe and whispered, Tomorrow, we talk consequences. The morning air was cool when I opened my red notebook. 3 lines sat under the header, Non-Negotiables, Monetary Penalties, Printed Apology, Public Correction. I brewed coffee strong enough to taste the work ahead. Camille called at 7:30. Crisp as always. Tone stays procedural, she said. No speeches. I smiled. We'll speak through clauses, not adjectives. Nolan's media scan came next. Public sentiment shifting from gossip to admiration. Restraints trending, he said. People like grace. I checked in with Lydia and Axton. The staff briefing would stay personal, off camera. My only fear was theater, fake contrition staged for optics. I named it, shelved it, and went to dress. Today wasn't for mourning, it was for math. At heart and shore, the air smelled like toner and authority. Camille handed out a 1-page term sheet, lease reaffirmation, removal of the altered page, and a fee credit for the disruption. I added a 4th line, direct payment to the staff wellness fund. Consequences belong where harm landed, I said. Talbot's lawyer mumbled about mutual clarification. I leaned in. No mutual anything. You fabricated a clause. You corrected in print. Camille referenced our exhibits, the letter, the metadata. The audio, then added, truth is our brand. By the end of the hour, they'd gone silent. Camille set a 4 o'clock red line deadline. I wrote in my notebook. Deadlines save women time. At noon. Nolan pinged me a link. A draft apology leaked from the landlord's PR team. The language dripped with damage control. We regret the mischaracterization of a long-standing patron. I circled verbs. Regret. Mischaracterize. Enable. They confessed without realizing. Camille highlighted key lines for conversion into legal admissions. We'll translate this from soft guilt to hard liability, she said. I looked at the screen and whispered, We're not humiliating them. We're restoring gravity. The feeling wasn't joy, it was justice fitting back into its skin. Midday brought confession through corporate channels. Camille shared a proffer. An HR manager admitted to coaching forgiveness framing at Talbot's direction. Their idea was to force me into silence disguised as grace. I said nothing for a long beat, then wrote one sentence. Forgiveness without truth is propaganda. Camille turned the note into leverage. You want confidentiality, she told them. Then you retract in writing, publicly. I stayed calm. It's easier to hold power when you don't need volume. By 3, justice found its way into the bank. My advisor called. Callista's LLC flagged for compliance review after multiple chargebacks tied to fake bookings. Funds frozen pending documentation, he said. I thanked him and forwarded the email to Camille. I didn't celebrate. I grieved the cost of their choices. When money stops moving, lies slow down, Nolan texted. He wasn't wrong. I sent Reese the notice. No gloating, just proof. His reply never came. I whispered. I warned you. That evening, Magnolia House glowed like nothing had happened. Lydia hosted community hour, serving cornbread and coffee under warm light. I read the Patron dignity statement aloud, 3 lines of plain sense. The room hummed with quiet pride. A retired nurse clasped my hand. You didn't break the room, she said. You reset it. I smiled. That's what mothers do, reset the table when someone spills. Outside, Reese waited by the steps, eyes tired. Truth or peace theater, I asked. Truth, he said. Callista called mid-talk, furious. I put her on speaker. Apologize in print, fix what you falsified. She raged about brand opportunities. Your brand is your behavior, I said, ending the call. Reese didn't defend her. He just nodded. Quiet. By 6. Camille and I faced the final red line. We stripped every euphemism, replaced misunderstanding with document alteration. The payment clause redirected funds to the staff wellness account with interest. At 6:05, Magnolia House posted a clean update, policy reaffirmed. Apology pending. The comments turned warm and local. Camille texted, they'll sign tonight. I locked my red notebook in the safe, turned off the lamp, and stood in the quiet glow of justice properly documented. Justice needs a receipt, I said, and the silence agreed. The sun hadn't cleared the rooftops when I reached Hart and Shore. I wore flats and my pearl studs, the same pair from that night I refused to shrink. Camille slid the final red line across the oak table, her nails tapping once for rhythm. Every noun, she said, clean and precise. Together, we read each word. Mischaracterization, unapproved alteration, acknowledge, remedy. Nothing soft survived. The new rider ensured automatic filing if payments or postings slipped. No mercy by phone. I signed in blue ink, initials crisp at every margin. Camille's scanner hummed, preserving the moment. Across from me, the landlord's attorney hesitated before signing. Mark Talbot's throat moved like he'd swallowed his brand. I texted Lydia. Policy. In writing. By 10, the apology went live. Magnolia House's foyer and website mirrored the same framed text. We acknowledge the mischaracterization of Drusilla Varnell and the unapproved alteration of lease language. Beneath it, remedy executed, staff fund endowed. Clause withdrawn, simple, final. Nolan's caption read, dignity is policy, not mood. The comments came steady and local. Bartenders, nurses, and teachers typing thank yous. I declined interviews. Outcomes, not feelings. I told one reporter through the gate, my notebook's consequences column earned 3 clean checkmarks. Admission, remedy, policy. Done. Late morning, I walked into Magnolia House. The air smelled of cornbread and polish. Lydia had draped fresh linens over the corner banquette. A small brass plate gleamed. The owner's table, dedicated to patron dignity. I ran my fingertips across it, feeling weight where hurt used to live. Nolan stood beside me, arm light on my shoulder. Vera held up a card announcing a new annual scholarship for hospitality staff, funded by the penalty payment engraved each spring. Axton trained the hosts on their new script. We seat with respect, we serve with consent. I tested the sightline to the door. The way a seamstress checks a hem. No thrones, I told Nolan. Just standards, he chuckled. Standards last longer. By afternoon, the air turned warm again. Reese met me on the sidewalk outside. His apology hovered in his throat. Uncertain, but real, I said softly. Your mother is not a storyline. He nodded, eyes damp. No defense this time. I handed him the printed apology and the scholarship notice. He read both, and for once his shoulders dropped instead of rising. Callista's rideshare stopped beside us. She stepped out, phone raised. I lifted my palm. No filming here. Her face burned. I pointed to the plaque inside. Remove every edited post or S16 triggers. The freeze. That's your doing? She cursed, turned away. Reese didn't follow. He folded the notice into his wallet like a photograph. I hugged him lightly. Love has edges, I said. Keep yours. At home. I filed the executed agreement behind the porcelain dish. The bank receipt uploaded cleanly to the staff funds page. My red notebook, now full, closed with one last line under lessons. Precision is kinder than fury. Lydia texted a photo of the first staff coffee hour funded by the apology. Aprons hung over chairs. Laughter easy again. A neighbor knocked just as I poured tea. Saw the post, he said. About time someone wrote it down. I smiled. Paper keeps memory honest. That night, I walked past Magnolia House. Streetlights caught the brass plaque, turning it into a small lighthouse against the dark. Inside, a hostess told a new trainee, "Dignity first." The trainee nodded. I whispered to the city, "You tried to make me small. I made the room larger." As the streetlight flickered over the plaque, my phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. "You think it's over? Check the trust file." My hand froze above the screen. The city felt too quiet, too expectant. Maybe justice had one more page left to sign.